So if there's one question that I always get, it's which are your favorite comics? The comics that you absolutely love, the ones that really drive you, the ones that give you passion, the ones that kind of keep you going when you're having a really bad day. Those comics, the special ones that are near and dear to your heart. Today I'm going to be answering that question. Today we're going to be looking at my top 5 favorite comic books of all time. My favorite runs, my favorite stories, things like that. Now, these are just mine. These are my personal choices, so if you're one of the fans out there that is saying, oh man, you missed this book, or how could you miss this book? This book is so incredible, da da da. Guys, these are my picks. These are my top 5 favorite picks, and that's perfectly fine if you disagree with them. I understand. Everybody has their choices, but without further ado, let's dive into it. Coming in at number 5, we're going to be taking a look at one of my favorite series, Brian K. Vaughan's Y: The Last Man. Absolutely brilliant series that if you've never read Y: The Last Man, what are you doing? You really do owe it to yourself to go pick up this series. It's fantastic. Centering around the character of Yorick Brown. In this world, there is a plague that has wiped out every single male on the face of the earth. Every single one. So because of that, Yorick Brown is the last man that is alive. Now, if you're a guy out there, chances are you're probably thinking, oh, that's awesome. I get to be the last guy on the face of the earth. What guy wouldn't want that? Yeah, that's great until you start realizing, oh crap, they are hunting me, they are trying to kill me, they are trying to examine what's left of my body. It's phenomenal. It is an amazing series full of political commentary, and it also has one of the most gut-wrenching endings that I have ever read in a comic. Absolutely recommend it. Coming in at number 4, we're going to show the manga guys some love, and we're going to be talking about Naoki Urasawa's magnum opus, 20th Century Boys. Guys, hands down, one of the best mangas I've ever read. I love 20th Century Boys. This is a series that's written by Naoki Urasawa, who is, in many eyes of manga readers, one of the greatest mangaka writers and artists of all time. Hands down. Naoki Urasawa tells the story of a group of friends who they've lost touch after a few years in high school and college. You know, things like that happen. So they grow older and they find out one of their friends has died. Well, things are a little bit weird in the way that he died. They soon find out that this character called the Friend has started showing up and he's got this cult. And what's really fascinating about this story is that it's a time jump story. The time shifts between different chapters, between different pages, where you get perspectives on each one of these people's lives. You see them at the beginning of their life when they're just kids, and the middle point of their life when they're still trying to figure things out. Some of them have families, some of them have gained weight, some of them have lost weight, some of them have gone their separate ways, and then closer to the end of their life. It's a huge, sprawling story. Now, the character of the Friend is one of the best villains I've ever read. You see, the character of the Friend happens to be one of the friends of the gang of kids. In the past, the kids decided that, you know what, this is how the world is gonna end. You know, as all kids do. They mess around in the park and they go, oh man, wouldn't it be cool if like a giant robot came in and smashed the city, or a nuclear bomb went off, things like that. Well, turns out that this character, the Friend, he has gone and he is starting to put those things into practice. It's a brilliant series and it's a mystery all the way through. I'm going to say this, there are moments where it does get a bit slow, and you're going to read about chapter 10, volume 10 if I'm not mistaken. You're going to think, well, they kind of dealt with the situation of the Friend. Where's the series going to keep going? Keep with it. It keeps twisting, it keeps turning. It's fantastic, guys. I urge you, if you have not read 20th Century Boys, or if you're somebody that, I'm not really into manga, it's not really my thing, guys, pick it up. Brilliant. Next up on my list is DayTripper. DayTripper is phenomenal. I absolutely love this story. It's a story of Braz d'Olivier, and you get a snapshot of his life in every single issue. There's 12 issues in total, and throughout these 12 issues, Braz ends up dying at a different point in his life at the end of every single issue. What this book is, at its heart, is an examination of life. It's an examination of the big moments of life and what matters in life and how at times we can lose sight of that. It's a fantastic and brilliant series that every time I read it, I get something a little bit more out of it. I have read this story about 5 times now at different points in my life, and it's more relevant the older that I get. It's phenomenal. It's absolutely brilliant. It's written by Gabriel Moon and Fabio Ba, and I cannot stress this enough. If you have never read DayTripper, it's great. They are both the writers and artists on this series, and it really is one of those series that, like I've said, the more you read it, the more it affects you, the more you come back to it, the more you take away from it. I love this series. Coming in at number 2, we have Sandman. Sandman is, without a shadow of a doubt, one of the most brilliant series that I've ever read. I love Sandman. It's fantastic, it's sweeping, it's grand in scale, and it encompasses literature, it encompasses mythology, it encompasses different religions. It's phenomenal. Sandman centers around the character of Dream. Dream in this story is the living embodiment of the concept of dreams. Now, if this sounds a little bit trippy or a little bit too heady for you, this series might not be for you. You follow Dream around as he basically goes and he tries to restore his kingdom because he was trapped for over 100 years by these flunky magicians who should have not been able to capture him. And when he does escape, he finds out that, look, I really don't want to do this job anymore. I'm kind of tired of it, and I really just want to give the whole thing up. This book is grand in scale, and I'm going to warn you right now, Dream is only in about 30% of the story. The rest of the story centers around people and their interactions with the character of Dream. It's very heady, it's very trippy, and it's a concept that Neil Gaiman would go on to explore a lot more of in his books like American Gods and things like that. I love Sandman. I really do. What you're going to find out, though, is that there really is no consistent artist in the book. Gaiman couldn't keep a consistent artist, but it's so grand in scale, so brilliant, and just so on another level conceptually that I always recommend this series to somebody who is even the most remotely curious in mythology and in religion. Number 1 on my list, guys, this should come as no surprise to anybody that has been listening to me throughout the years or has been following me on Twitter, Facebook, has even checked out the Omni Bros live stream. Number 1 of my favorite books of all time has to be Preacher. Preacher is offensive, it's brilliant, it's satirical, and I love every single moment of Preacher. Preacher centers around small-town Reverend Jesse Custer. Jesse Custer is sick of his flock. He is tired of his congregation because Monday through Saturday they go out sinning, they go out drinking, they go out whoring it up, and when they come to church on Sunday, they all basically say, "You can't judge us because we're in church and we're asking for forgiveness." Jesse Custer soon becomes possessed by this being called Genesis, and Genesis is the result of a demon and an angel having sex, and that's what came out. Genesis gives Jesse Custer the ability to tell anybody to do something literally to the T, and they will do it. For example, Jesse Custer can tell somebody, "You have to count every single grain of sand on this shoreline," and they will do it, and they cannot refuse to do it. He is soon joined by his badass ex-girlfriend Tulip and an Irish heavy drinking vampire named Cassidy. I love this series. I absolutely love this series. It's one of the best buddy comics that I've ever read. It's in its heart a modern day western, and it's a road trip. It's phenomenal, and if you've never read Preacher, you owe it to yourself to read it. The art is done by Steve Dillon, who just passed away this past year, and I cannot praise this story enough. Steve Dillon's art is more detailed at the beginning, and it gets less detailed as it goes, but he never really loses the sense of characters. Garth Ennis writes this story, and it is phenomenal. Garth Ennis happens to be one of my favorite writers of all time, and like I've said a million times before, there is never one moment where Jesse Custer as a character strays away from his beliefs. He is very firm, very steadfast in what he believes in, and I love that. Each character here has an arc, and every single character gets their moment to shine. If you have seen the Preacher TV show, this series is far and away 10 times better than the TV show. And I know I'm going to sound like a hipster elitist by saying that, but really the TV show does not even come close to scratching the surface of how brilliant this comic book is. And if you have not picked up the Absolute editions, they are beautiful. They are phenomenally well done, and they are some of the most beautiful comics that I own in my collection. I love Preacher, and if you have not read Preacher, and if you are somebody that isn't easily offended, this is a series you have to read. Hands down, one of the best series of all time. Go out, pick it up, pick up the trades, pick up the hardcovers, whatever format you want, you need to read this. There you have it, guys. Those are my top 5 favorite comics of all time. Now, I wanted to choose some books that are easily accessible, that fans can jump into, that they really don't need to worry about continuity or things like that. The books that are really near and dear and special to my heart. I really do think these are phenomenal reads, and I know somebody's out there is gonna go, well, you know, where's the Watchmen? Where's the V for Vendetta? Where are these other books? Guys, I didn't do that list this time simply because everybody does them. Everybody does Watchmen. Everybody does V for Vendetta. I kind of wanted to choose some things that are a little bit less common and a little bit more off the beaten path than everybody else. So, with that said, you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter down in the description below. If this is your first time checking out my channel, I do weekly reviews of hardcovers and trade paperbacks. Patreon is found in the description as well. You guys know what to do. I love you guys. Thanks for checking this out. Have a great week.